Hello, I'm Brian Downs. This is a republic, if you can keep it. Let's talk about Medicaid. At the time of this recording, which is in the morning of May 21st, 2025, Donald Trump's big, beautiful budget bill is being debated in Congress. It is hugely unpopular with the public, and the GOP is struggling to find the votes to ram it through. It, of course, includes huge slashing cuts to Medicaid. Let's talk about government spending. People talk about government spending, and I've said this before on this channel, you as repeat viewer know that. People talk about government spending as if we take the money out back and set it on fire. We don't. A huge percentage of the American government budget gets spent in America, providing services to Americans and employing other Americans to provide those services. It is a giant and important piece of the American economy. Medicaid, doubly so. The Trump administration wishes to slash Medicaid, which is, of course, the government program that provides medical services to the poorest and most vulnerable Americans. Many of these people live in rural areas, the poor working class. In short, the GOP base, the MAGA faithful. Medicaid is a huge part of the budget. It's a huge part of the American economy. To slash Medicaid spending will doom any number of doctors' offices and clinics and hospitals, employers in small towns, to extinction. It will vacuum money up out of these already impoverished places, and it will reduce the medical care available to the residents of these places. Now let's talk about what happens when you reduce medical care. But first, let me make this point. This seems to be misunderstood. We don't pay people Medicaid benefits. We don't pay Michelle Diaz or John Doe Medicaid benefits. We don't give the money to the individual. We give the money to the doctor, the hospital, the clinic. When we slash Medicaid spending, we destroy those places. So, now we've slashed the spending. Now we've slashed the benefits. Now we've slashed the services. Those people who were on Medicaid don't disappear like a phantasm with the morning dew. They just go without medical care. This creates a bigger and more expensive problem because now Jane Doe doesn't go to the doctor for her upper respiratory infection. She winds up in the emergency room for pneumonia. The emergency room is required to treat her whether she can pay or not. Now the hospital is bleeding money out of the emergency room. This is a bigger and more expensive problem. Mr. Joe Sixpack of small town Arkansas or suburban Illinois doesn't simply vanish out of our society. He doesn't get his medication. He doesn't get his checkups. Then he has a heart attack. Then he has a stroke. Here in 21st century America, most people who have heart attacks and strokes don't die. They become more expensive patients. They become less able to participate in our society, and they require more and more expensive medical care. Onto whom does that burden fall? The individual, they don't have the money. The family, they probably don't have the money either. This will, of course, drive up bankruptcies in America as people are consumed by medical bills. This will create tragedy after tragedy. This will create catastrophe after catastrophe, paralyzing whole families with a burden they cannot bear. That's what it will do. It will not save money. It will create more tragic, more expensive patients. It is an absurdly bad idea. Of course, Donald Trump claimed that he would never cut Medicaid when he was running for his second term, and here he is slashing away at it. Of course, he's beating the drum about waste, fraud, and abuse. We only cut waste, fraud, and abuse. What waste? Show me the waste. Where's the data? Show me the fraud. Waste, fraud, and abuse. We've been hearing this chant, this mantra. We heard it from Doge. Of course, now Elon Musk has crawled back home with his guts streaming out. He can't be involved with the Republican Party anymore. His time is taken up being fired from Tesla. But still, waste, fraud, and abuse. What fraud? Fraud is a crime. Do we have one person who has been sentenced, charged, convicted of a crime of fraud? No, we do not. And if we did, what are you talking about? If fraud has been detected, then what you do, of course, is you identify the criminal, you give them their day in court. When it's proved against them, if in fact they are guilty, then they go to prison, and you run a better, more efficient operation going forward. If I happen to run a comic book store and gaming hall, and I thought someone was stealing from me, I wouldn't set the whole comic book store on fire. I would just try to find that criminal and fix that problem. So the waste, fraud, and abuse mantra is nonsense, but that shouldn't surprise anyone. Everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth is a lie. And his assertion that slashing Medicaid will help flies in the face of reality. It will only create greater disasters that will be more expensive to clean up. If the system is imperfect, then let us repair it. Let us make it work for all of us.